Man, she's just like had it.
She's not very rough lately.
Okay, we are live. Come on in, Elliot.
Oh.
Well, not gonna get you, Tony. Sorry.
It's nice to meet you.
Unless you move down.
I mean, not that I need to be in the camera. Every time I'm on
I
camera,
have like your fingers.
you should be in the. Every time I'm on camera, there'll be a comment.
Just remind me when we go into executive session to stop recording. Or streaming. And recording.
Yeah, that too.
Okay.
I memorized all this now, so
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
So we're taking that money on another issue out of ARPA instead of contingency.
Well, council, yes. Erica's recommendation is ARPA. Yes.
So we can still reimburse the bill if we get it.
All of ARPA's gonna end up in,
It's gonna end up in the same. Okay, alright, that's fine. Instead of using
and
contingency.
we have pretty good number there for now. Probably about
In,
ARPA.
oh, okay.
With all the good bad.
Yes, with all the give backs that we anticipate.
Okay.
So, we're comfortable there. Okay. Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order. 5:34. Only one missing is Greg, right?
Yep.
First on the agenda is the elections of the open board positions.
Yeah, we forgot to do this at the annual meeting. That's my bad. There's not very many in here, so.
Somebody has to be the secretary and vice president, so can I have a nomination for secretary?
I can't write.
You promise you don't have to do any.
It's kind of like the JLDC board. Nomination? I'll nominate Tony.
I don't care.
congratulations.
We haven't voted on it yet.
No, do you want to do them both together and then one
I want to vote? Yeah,
Yeah.
we can do it either way.
vice president?
Do Mike.
And that would be Mike. Okay, so I have a nomination of the secretary of Tony Joltz and vice president Mike Lauren there for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 0. Carried. Next, we have consideration for the approval of the minutes from the March 12th meeting.
I apologize, these were not quite ready when I sent the packet yesterday, but you should have them in front of you.
And that was pretty much just the straightforward.
Yeah, it was mostly annual business items, but if there's anything that we did have those 2 lots at Country View Estates.
And those are
That last time.
sold, and I believe construction started on both of them, at least like
They've gotten all their permitting.
permitting done.
They did. Foundation's in on one.
Nice.
It looks really nice.
Nice.
Exciting. That's 3 in a matter of like 3 years. Yeah.
So do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
I have like 4 of these.
Consideration for the approval of the financial reports. I hope you all read them while you were waiting. All 100 and some pages.
Yeah.
If I could just ask a question, to Comptroller Thomas,
Yeah.
are we on track to have, the 2023, are the auditors covering 2023 as we speak along with the city's audit, or is that still?
The city's auditor audit for 2023 starts late next month.
Late next month, and has there been any mention of, will they be doing the Jura audit concurrently or after that audit?
They were selected as Jura's auditor. I don't know the
Yes.
exact timing.
They typically do it They typically do it after, but they do Jura and JLDC at the same time.
Okay. Thanks, just so that's on the record.
My only, do we pay anyone for mowing? We haven't
We
spent any
do.
money. You do.
So we typically will get that from the Parks Department, towards the end of the year, and we typically will pay it all in a lump sum.
And then the budgeted items for income just have not arrived yet?
Yeah,
Is
so they get billed out, depending on what the income is, where it's coming from. So if it's grant income, for example, as we submit pay requests, there's, kind of a process we have to go through. And then with HUD, a lot of our administrative income, which would be reflected there, we complete projects, so there's kind of we have to complete stuff in order to be able to receive it. So we do anticipate that we're on track and,
I just know what the
Yeah.
process was on how
Yeah.
it, going from budget
sure.
to the
Yeah.
income line.
absolutely. What were you looking at?
Profit and loss through July of 2024. I just noticed the mowing, I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause we've been mowing, everything looks nice.
Any other questions? Okay. Do I have a consideration for the approval of them? Motion to approve?
Yeah, I make a motion to approve the financial reports.
Mike, second.
So,
Tony, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None carried. Item number 4 is the consideration for the approval to revise the Jura management guidelines to reflect the placement of the Deputy Director of Housing Policy and Development as a Group 1 employee. Elliot, you care to explain?
Yes, so what we have here in Jura is, as you may or may not be aware, Jura employees are represented by a union within the city, Jamestown Urban Renewal Agency, Jamestown City Administrative Union. With respect to this was organized over 25 years ago. Unions, when a new employee or a new title is created, have the option to motion for that position to be added to that union, unless that position is considered management or confidential in nature. So Ms. Falk was recently made, or not recently, but at the beginning of the year / end of last year, she was made into the Deputy Director of Housing. At that time, I filed a motion with the New York State Public Employment Relations Board for that position to be classified as managerial confidential. That decision was rendered by an administrative law judge after a brief case where I presented what Ms. Falk does for the department, and she was ruled as management and therefore not suitable to be placed in the union. So since she cannot be in a union, she joins Mr. Selstrom as the financial advisor, Ms. Surdick as employees who are paid by the Jura agency but are not members of the union, and therefore their salary, their terms and conditions of employment are within the management guidelines for the Jamestown Urban Renewal Agency. So right now she's a person without a home, she's already being covered by the Jura management guidelines. However, she should have certain items like a salary schedule set by Ms. Thomas along with Ms. Surdick and be formally placed that title into the Jura management contract.
Is there any change to her income? Like, is she okay with, or is there any kickback or no?
Well, I think there's always kickback from the union because they're not gonna have a member. So obviously she won't have to pay union dues. As far as what her salary schedule is and her negotiated salary is, that is something that a management employee negotiates directly with this board, along with the mayor, the executive director, and the financial advisor / comptroller. So I believe she's at set salary schedule right now, or set salary right now. Where that salary goes is, between her and the management employees in this board.
So you also understand in layman's terms, Mike, that she is the deputy, because of the title of deputy director in particular, that she will perform Crystal's job, and Crystal is that was the big fight for her not being in a union, because there's some strict management confidentiality with that position and that obligation. So So that was the
I'm on
logic
vacation,
behind it.
she's it. She gets the backbone.
So that's the logic behind it more than anything.
Is the scope of her work more housing or is it still pretty much the same?
She does focus primarily
That's what-
on housing. She does a lot of policy research and development too. So our rental ordinance that was just passed, vacant property ordinance, her purview and her expertise is really more so in the housing realm. So
She has,
hence the title of
Yeah.
housing policy and development.
yeah, she's written
But-
some great policy with
Yeah.
the 3 codes we've just done. Okay, any other questions? Motion to approve,
So moved.
second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None carried. Next, we have the consideration for the approval of the compensation by the Jura to city paralegal Tanya Tabor for her work related to the Jamestown Urban Renewal Agency. Again, Elliot, that is you.
Yes, so historically, Jura was represented by an attorney and a law office that was not the city's law office. Specifically, that attorney was Sam Price. In 2020, Mr. Price, unfortunately, or fortunately for him, retired and decided that his firm would no longer be representing any private clients. With that, there was at the time a shortage of attorneys that still exists within Chautauqua County. Those duties were transferred over to Ben Haskin, who received separate compensation for certain Jura work, along with Jura compensating the city directly for his salary. And by Jura doing that, there was a check written from Mr. Salstrom, Jura's financial advisor, to the comptroller of the city of Jamestown. In this regard, Ms. Tabor, the paralegal, was paid separately, as far as an hourly agreement for that. And we would like to formalize that with a specific amount where she's paid, and that is approved by this board. Now specifically, you may ask, how does that work right now? There's a set amount in Jura's budget each year that is allocated for legal services. Traditionally, I've asked that Ms. Tabor be paid hourly for her services, and then any of my services be given directly to the comptroller for the city. So what happens in practice is at the end of each year, any money's not paid directly to Ms. Tabor, so the bulk, the majority of the monies are paid directly to the city as compensation for attorney services. Specifically, what are those services for a paralegal? Most of it, 90% of it, is related to real estate transactions and TPs, RPs, deeds, and filing at the county. The other half of it, unfortunately, is sometimes HR-related matters that she handles.
Any other questions? Motion,
So moved.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None carried. Item number 6, consideration for the approval to enter into a memorandum of understanding with John Selstrom for work related to the Jamestown Renaissance Corporation. Crystal, is that you?
That's Elliot again.
Elliot?
That is me once again. So specifically, this is addressing a 2021 agreement and formalizing that in front of this board. The Jamestown Renaissance Corporation was a non-for-profit that was created to further the interests of Jamestown. We may see their various parks in downtown Jamestown or their various activities during the summertime, usually. What happened was they used to have their own independent office in downtown Jamestown. They moved to the 3rd floor of City Hall. They approached the administration specifically regarding audits as well as bookkeeping activities. The administration has chosen to take a fee from JRC that's under contract each year, and I believe, and I'm sorry, I thought it was gonna be in here, but is that $12,000 or $25,000 each year?
So the first year it was 12,000. It is now currently at 15,000.
Okay, so JRC pays the Jura $15,000 a year for bookkeeping services. Unfortunately, all of that work really fell upon one employee, which was John Salstrom, who was the financial coordinator for Jura. Mr. Salstrom asked, new generation these days, rather than valuing the money, he asked for 5 additional vacation days to be added to his contract each year. So therefore, he does the JRC bookkeeping with the understanding that he will get 5 vacation days each year, extra vacation days. So we asked to formalize this agreement between him and the Jura. And I will add, vacation days are used them or lose them, he does not carry them over, they will not be bought back.
It's a win-win, good.
Yeah,
Yep. Any other questions? Motion?
So,
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Item number 7 is the consideration for the approval to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the code enforcement officers Richter, Roldan, and Abbott for work related to the Jamestown Urban Renewal Agency. Crystal, you wanna explain this and how that kinda came about and?
sure, yeah. And then Elliot, you can fill in anything that I miss. So the Department of Development has had, a handful of personnel related, items that have left, code enforcement shorthanded. And our workload has drastically increased. And we have a couple of our code officers, really all of them are doing much more than what's reasonable within a 37.5-hour work week, to try to accomplish. So, we entered into an agreement with code enforcement officers. The last time that I was looking for 2 new code officers, I guess that probably would have been between 2022 and 2023. Once we filled those positions, so we approved overtime, because overtime is not something that is negotiated as part of their union contract. So with this agreement, this allows them to do overtime as needed and approved by myself prior to them deciding to do it or asking to do it. And once we get back up to full speed again, we anticipate that the overtime will no longer be necessary, but this does give them the opportunity to try to keep up on their workload while being compensated fairly for that. Elliot, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I will add that all New York State overtime laws, we have 37.5-hour employees here in the city. So between 37.5 to 40 hours is still straight time that they're gonna be paid. It's only after they go over 40 hours per week they're paid overtime. This overtime per the agreement can be ended at any time by the Director of Development or the Mayor, depending on budgetary constraints, lack of work, you name it. It's really the decision of management. This is really to address the needs of the city.
We are still down 1 code enforcement officer at this time.
And how many active cases do they have?
They
I
all
just-
have
I just
at
like to
least
hear the
Over
number.
1,000,
Yeah.
they all have
I mean, I
at
remember
least
it was,
300.
300.
yeah, I remember it was
Yes.
Yeah.
extremely high.
We close when they get 10 more.
I think tomorrow's court date is 26.
Yeah, and that's kind of as many as the court would allow us to bring in. So,
It's crazy.
we're trying to max out the calendar, but it's,
Any other questions?
No,
So moved.
Second?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Next on the agenda, we have executive session, so Crystal, if you would, and this is for personnel,
Yes.
Yes.
that's it?
Yep.
Okay.
If I can figure out how to do it. There's gotta be a pause, right?
Good
Sorry to anybody that's watching it. I'll take it out of the room.
We'll
but,
take it out of the room, yeah.
That's Joe, he's still here,
Joe, can you shut off the
working
Pause it.
working on the state of emergency.
Can we do that?
No.
Oh, no, we can't? Okay, so we just have to take